I got a few quick hitters for you before we get into that final question to wrap up the interview.
You
First,
said hitter. Let me take a goddamn hit
go
first.
ahead. Go ahead.
All right.
Absolutely. Where did high tone come from? The tone is a bit more obviously, a bit more obvious, but where did the name high tone, like what was the inception of that?
Oh, y'all are gonna laugh at this. I tried to tell this story as much as possible too. One day I was on the great campus of University of Missouri Columbia, and I was walking through the student center, and everybody, I called Tony or Freddie. They wanted to, or they said the same thing, Tony, Freddie, Tony. And one day someone was exactly, yeah, I can't tell you who it really was exactly, but they walked past me and they said, "Hi, Tone," and I just like, my grandma used to call me Tone Tone for people that don't know, and I hated it. So the fact that you took one of the tones off kind of made it sound like a little fly now. It was like, oh, wait a minute. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna think on that. I'm gonna let that sit because I already had the name Elevated Touch as a business at this point.
Right.
And then one day we at the Cabot House, which was my house for people that don't know, and I'm playing spades, and I had learned how to play spades in college, y'all. Y'all be so weak in the black community. Round of applause. Um, I'm whooping ass. I'm taking names later and whooping ass now. And my partner, Ayan, shout out, we was just whooping ass that whole night. Like nobody could move us off the table. Somebody walked in, I'm smoking weed, and I'm still trying to learn what I like about weed and what I don't at this time. And they walked in, it might have been the same person. And if it is, it's Ansley. But if it's not, somebody else walked in and was like, hi. And the fact that I had the blunt in my hand when she said that, I was like, I'm finna use that. That's finna work. There we go. That's the new name. Tony Freddie is no longer Freddie. I still answer to those, but I was like, Tone. That's It's just simple. It's just real boom, straight to the point. And then you put high tone in front of it. Okay, it's not only a greeting, it's who I am, it's what I do. I do things at a high level, a high frequency, at the highest tone. I smoke and do other psychedelics, plant-based drugs.
Right.
And when you greet me, you got to say high tone. So I was like, that's a trend. We're gonna roll with it.
That's a Hey man, that's a great story. Only because I can visualize every aspect of that story, knowing these spaces. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I'm glad.
Yeah, knowing where I was at, you was probably like, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. You have this immense love for the 90's, bro. 90's culture, like 90's music, all of that. Where does that come from?
Um,
Does it come
it's a
from
mix.
Puff?
Does it come from love?
Does it come from Puff?
No, no. Crazy
Okay.
thing was, okay, let's get this clear. We're gonna get this exclusive. I did not, and I hope Puff don't see this, but I knew about Puff. I love Puff's music. I didn't become a big Puff fan though until high school, and I'll tell you that after I get to the love for the 90's.
Gotcha.
But the love for the 90's, well, my grandmother never listened to rap music when I was in the car with her, and I went everywhere with my grandmother. It was 70's, 80's, 60's. That's all it was. Diana Ross, The Temptations, Al Green. Like that's all we listen to. So my love really is for the era of the 60s, 70's to the 90's. Early 2000s kind of ties with the 60s. It's like you can cut those off for real. And 70's through 90's. 70's and 90's. I don't really care about the 80's, but I'll listen to stuff in the 80's. Um, and then my mom, she was young. She had me at the age of 18. So listening in the radio, in the car, it's like all they playing is whatever the current hip hop is, and this is early 2000s, so everything's a hit. It's not nothing that's like, oh, this is some bull. And then it's 90's, so it's like I think subconsciously I just heard the music all the time, and the culture of it was just everything seemed so genuine, despite what we hear our parents go through or see our parents doing, like whether it's infidelity in relationships. I don't think it was just on full blast, and people still had some type of decorum in a sense. People would still fly with little to nothing. Like you had your dope boys that had money and had to change, but you had people that didn't really have, but still looking fly.
Right.
I feel like we not in that era no more of doing more with less. You know, like I'm not saying be broke, obviously have to, but you don't gotta go get a diamond chain because your favorite rapper got a diamond chain. You could wear the gold chains we got on our neck right now, put on a sweatshirt, put on some fly jeans and some shoes that go with it, and you can still be fly. It's
Yeah.
how you put it together. And I feel like they did that a lot in the 90's. They just put things together very well. The music was totally different. They spoke, you know, it might have been even the 70's, you know, it might have been nasty when you really dive into the lyrics, but it wasn't vulgar. It wasn't like it had some sort of element of mystery to it. Like, yeah, they talking about love, or you know, that's what the concept is, but they really talking about fucking. You know, like that's really what it is. Versus,
Thanks.
you know, getting on the track and being like, "Yeah, I beat up, see up." Like, I don't want to hear that, bro, because it's no mystery to it. I know what you're gonna say. You
Right.
know, so that's where my love for that came, and it'll never go away. The music is just different. It's like I feel when I listen to that music. Like that's why I'm glad Puff put out the album that he did because it was one of them. We had multiple listening parties here at the Shack, and the last one I had, I don't know, both of them was crying. It was two of my friends was over here, and I played one of one of the last songs on the album, and one of them like almost started crying, and that's what I was like. That's what music needs to be. It needs to be your emotions, your feelings. So the fact that you almost crying, nobody does music like this. You got to go back to the 90's.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that, bro. 90's music is just, it's a different level. And I think it's a reason why that tends to be the most revisited era of music.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking hip hop or R&B. It just hit different. And I think that along with music from the 70's, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s, timeless music is timeless music. And I just think the 90's has a lot of timeless music in that decade span for sure.
And a lot of the artists were like, everybody knows I'm a big Jodeci fan too. If you go look at when Jodeci was singing Forever My Lady, they was 16, 17 years old. So to be 16, 17 singing a song like that with that much passion and that much emotion in it, knowing that it's written about Kim Porter, you know, being pregnant with Quincy, but it's like, dang, they 16, 17 singing like this. Ain't nobody singing like this. Ain't
Facts.
nobody singing with this much emotion and this much passion. At that age, they wait until you get 30 to start singing about stuff like that. Like, no, get somebody that got a voice and tell the story. That's what
Yeah.
writers are good for.
Yeah.
But yeah, to dive into the Puff thing. So I was in high school. This is gonna be a quick story. During the college, I'm around from colleges. Don't know where I want to go at this point. Mizzou is not on the factor. And one of the recruiters, I don't know what school she was at, but she was like, I'm talking and just being me. And she was like, you remind me of somebody. I'm like, who's that? And she was like, you remind me of P. Diddy. I'm like, what? I ain't never heard that before. Like, in my mind, at this point, I wanted to be like 2 Chainz, Wayne, Snoop. Them was the people I had in my head, like who I wanted to be like, and Bow Wow a little bit, you know, but I kind of grew out of that. But it was Snoop, 2 Chainz, and Wayne. That's who I wanted to be like. And when she said Diddy, I'm like, let me go study this. And when I studied more about him and studied his personal life and studied just him as a artist and creative, it made sense. So I was like, I align with him. And even the fact that I do business around people that's around him and they even say, you align with us. Like, you know, I've heard it a couple of times and it's like, oh, okay. Whoever that lady was, she wasn't wrong. So
Facts. Nah, that's what's up. I need you to give me your top 5 favorite. You ain't gotta say best, but top 5 favorite 90's artists.
and this is hip hop or R&B or
Hip hop or R&B.
okay. All right. Well, number one, I'm going I don't want to get canceled.
Hey.
I'm not gonna put him at number one, but who I will put at number one is Aaliyah. I'm putting Aaliyah at number one. I'm putting Jodeci at 2. Pac and Big, they're gonna tie for 3. You can't put one over the other. I'm just gonna tie them at 3. Snoop at 4.
Okay.
And put Dre with Snoop because you can't really have one without the other.
Facts.
And honestly, it was the 90's, y'all. R. Kelly going number 5.
Robert. Hey, man, listen. Solely from a music perspective.
Kelly going I do not condone anything he did to those women, those young women. None of that. I'm condoning that music. You cannot cancel hits. And if I always say this, and like I said, I hope I don't get canceled for this. It's my first interview in a long time. But if you cancel him as an artist, you got to cancel everybody he wrote for, which means I got to cancel my number one at Aaliyah. You got to cancel MJ. You gotta cancel
Cancel a lot of people.
everybody that man wrote for and produced for B2K. You gotta cancel everybody. If you're gonna cancel him as a whole, like cancel him as a person, do that. I don't like I say I don't condone none of that. But as them hits,
Them hits.
what Boosie say, can't nobody see him in a versus.
And
Michael Jack, but the fact that he wrote for Mike, him and Michael and Prince could all be up there beyond, like they can all be up there musically together. Like it's just R. Kelly got his own personal fuck ups and demons that puts him away over there. You in the corner, Robert, but you still over here with
us. For real, that's literally how we got to treat him. Like, hey, you in the corner right now. We know, like hits wise, you there, but we got to put you in the corner.
Like I hate when I'm around people and let's just say you got music on shuffle and an R. Kelly song come on, and they cringe up, and it's like, are you cringing up because Surviving R. Kelly came out? Because to be honest, we all saw the Piss video back in 03, 05. We all saw that.
We all knew.
and then he dropped Step in the Name of Love, and y'all kind of forgot about that. Look, he Chocolate Factory, y'all forgot about that.
Yeah.
So that's for me. That's why I say cancel him personally. I can't cancel the music though. I don't think about, a lot of people like he was talking about young girls. I don't think about that. I think about a grown woman that I'm feeling. Yes, girl, I want to bump and grind. All right. Yes, I don't see nothing wrong. Like that's what I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about no whatever he was thinking about. Yeah. I wasn't in his head, so I couldn't tell you what I was thinking about. His thoughts.
For real. All right. I know you are also a huge fan of the Power series.
Hell yeah. So Ghost still alive.
Ghost ain't coming back. I feel like we got to give this up. They not gonna pay the man. I don't think he's coming back for real. I would love to see it. I just don't think it's gonna happen. But I think everybody would say that the original Ghost is still the best. So I don't want to throw that one in there. But out of the three others that have came after, what's the best Power series to you out of book 2, 3, and 4?
Hands down, Power Book 2. Tariq series. And the crazy part is you would probably think I love the Kanan one because of the 90s, which I do. I have love for it and the era that it's in because they be having some fly stuff on. But I don't know. Tariq's is just, it seems more of a continuation from the original Power. Yeah. So it doesn't seem, I'm not saying any of them seem forced. Tommy's just took a whole different direction. And now you kind of like forgetting about everything that happened prior to that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Raising Kanan, that's prequel almost. So you're just learning about Kanan and, everybody's big question, when are we going to meet Tommy and Ghost in that one? Let me tell you, I've heard the stories. You're not meeting them for a while. All right.
It's going to be a minute.
Yeah. But with Tariq's, I like how they pull, even though Tommy's series is going on, Tommy's in Tariq's series. Tasha comes back. The grandmom comes back. Yaz is older. They still have flashbacks from Ghost. I love that Mary. That's another big thing. I think they couldn't have picked the cast any better unless they gave me a part somewhere in there. But yeah, I just think it was a perfect continuation. I think it makes sense for the story. We saw Tariq growing up and we saw him starting to become Ghost. And the fact that he now accepts, I am my father. Like that's because now we are rooting for him. At first we was like, bro, fuck Tariq. We want to whoop his ass, but now we like, bro, please don't go to jail, Tariq. Please don't go to jail. Like, we need, and the fact that he's at the cemetery telling Tommy, I guess I'm more like my father than I thought. It's like that wake up, that epiphany moment. Like, his whole life, he kind of was like, I'm not my father, but like, no, bro, you are him. You just don't see it yet. Like, even the way they dress him in the show is like, this is mini Ghost. Like,
no, this is a modern.
I want him to turn his savagery up I want him to turn his savagery up a little bit more, but we also got to remember he was privileged kind of growing up, so he's not going to have the same savagery that, Ghost has. He's little body still, he's, under people,
Yeah.
I do like how he thinks 3 steps ahead like Ghost, though. And I like the dynamic that Tariq and Brayden are really are modern Ghost and Tommy, even though they're not Ghost and Tommy.
Right.
They like, even when I notice Brayden doing fuck ups, it's kind of like you hear Ghost telling Tommy, think. Tariq doing the same thing with Brayden, think, bro, like think. Like, it's just funny seeing the correlation. But the funny thing is about all the series is that they're all the same as the first one. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. They just use different characters.
Oh, like same structure?
They just use different. Yeah. they just use different characters. Like, I need to stop doing that. But when we go to Raising Kanan, like Tariq and Kanan are that's like the similarity, and like his mom is really the ghost. Like that's how it kind of. But then you also go to Tariq series, and Mary J is kind of like Kanan mom. It's just how they tied it, how they basically recreate the story with different characters is amazing, and they could go on for series doing this. To be honest, I could
Yeah.
talk about Power all day long. I love it.
Oh, no, same, bro. And I think it's I
I've been
love
watching this at one, so people don't understand. Like,
no, for real. I remember I didn't start watching the original Power until damn near until season 6. Like I knew about it, but I started like low key, like at the beginning of season 6, and had to go back and binge and catch up by the end of season 6, which I did. But then I've been watching all the other shows since they've started. And I always liked the idea of the universe. I think if they can pull it off and actually like make it a universe and pull people together as we've seen them start to kind of do, like with Tommy still being a part of Tariq series. And I do think at some point Tariq is going to end up in Tommy series in some way, form, or fashion. But if they're able to really pull that off, I think that'll just be a test. That'll be a testament to 50, Courtney Kemp, because the infrastructure is there to do it. Like you said, it's the same story with different characters. So if you start bringing in some old characters into the fold, it's not like it's going to be too misplaced. And there's already other type of connections, you know, in there anyway. But also, Stars got to not fumble the bag. In that.
As long as they don't fumble the bag, that's one. That's a big one. And Tate is actually, I don't know if everybody remembers when season 6 ended, but Tate has a series too. But I think what they're doing is developing him more in Tariq's series so that his series makes sense. But in the same instance, Kanan can go on into the fact that we meet Tommy and Ghost. It can really go up into the fact of them being older, which is why I think they'll end up bringing Ghost back. If Raising Kanan can go 6-8 seasons, but you know, we'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll have to see about that. We'll definitely have to see about that.